Open your phone right now and look at your browser tabs. How many are currently open? Is it 10, 20? Or is it that dreaded infinity symbol? Because you've hit the limit of what the app can even count. Most people look at a graveyard of 50 open tabs, half-finished research on 14th century architecture, a recipe you'll never cook, and 3 different articles on quantum physics, and they feel a sense of shame. They call it digital hoarding or a lack of focus. But in this sanctuary, we look deeper. You aren't cluttered. You possess a rare psychological marker we call Fragmentary-Archival Intelligence. This isn't a sign of being disorganized. It's an elite system for maintaining archival integrity. Against a world that is constantly trying to tell you who to be, you are using these digital tokens to verify your own history in the face of the social mirror. Today we are decoding why your open tabs are actually your greatest vigilant observer strength. Welcome to MindUnlockx. We don't do motivation, and we definitely don't do surface-level advice. This is a sanctuary for those who want to understand the hidden architecture of their own behavior. If you've ever felt guilty for your inability to hit the clear all button, you've been looking through the wrong lens. To understand why your brain treats a browser tab like a sacred relic, we have to travel back to the ancient world to see how your fragmentary archival mind once served as a vital survival tool for the tribe's most important memory keepers. To understand your brain today, we have to look at the evolutionary history of the human mind. Long before writing existed, humans faced a massive problem. How do you keep track of the truth in a world where everything changes? Ancient tribes relied on token items to verify their history. A notched stick might represent the number of seasons since a great flood. But the system went much deeper. In many ancient cultures, there was a specific role for a memory keeper or an oral historian. These individuals didn't just memorize stories. They used physical objects to verify genealogy and law across generations. Think of a string of shells where each unique shell represented a specific ancestor or a major tribal treaty. If a dispute arose about who owned a piece of land or which family a person belonged to, the memory keeper would bring out the shell string. It wasn't just a decoration. It was the archival integrity of the entire tribe. If those shells were lost, the history was lost. Your fragmentary archival intelligence is a biological echo of this. When you refuse to close a browser tab, your brain is performing the same ancient calculation. Each tab is a digital shell on your string. You keep them open because your Sentinel mind knows that the social mirror, the opinions and narratives of others, is constantly shifting. Think of those tabs as your digital totem pole, a vertical archive where every carving represents a chapter of your intellectual genealogy. You aren't hoarding data. You are practicing cognitive fortification. You are building an archive that ensures your reality remains high resolution, even when society tries to blur the edges. The second pillar of this intelligence is archival integrity. Most people live low-resolution lives, moving from one trend to the next and closing the door on who they were yesterday to fit in. But as a deep thinker, your brain requires an internal safety map of your own evolution. This is where you practice front-end loading. In the context of the Polymath advantage, front-end loading is the process of pre-investing in raw data before you even know how you're going to use it. To ground this abstract concept in the real world, think of an inventor in a cluttered garage. They might collect old gears, rusted motors, and scrap copper for years without knowing what they're building. To an outsider, it's junk. But to the inventor, it's a unique portfolio of potential. One day, a specific problem arises, and they realize the rusted motor from 3 years ago is the exact component they need. Or think of a master chef who tastes hundreds of vinegars and salts in isolation, months before they ever combine them into a signature dish. They are loading the sensory data into their mind, so that when the moment of creation arrives, the solution is already there. You keep that tab on ancient philosophy or niche technology open for the same reason. You are preloading the bricks for a future intellectual house. By refusing to clear your history, you are protecting your deep sovereignty and maintaining an internal archive so that you never feel lost in the noise of the 9-to-5 grind. This is the most emotionally resonant function of your open tabs. It is your primary defense against gaslighting. We live in an era of narrative manipulation where people in social circles often rewrite the truth to suit their own hidden intentions. If you were the black sheep or had to grow up too fast, you learned early on that your memory was often under attack. Let's look at a concrete scenario. Imagine you're at work and a colleague, let's call him Mark, tells you that a specific project deadline was moved up by 2 weeks. You remember him saying the opposite in a casual meeting on Tuesday. When you challenge him, Mark says, "I never said that, you must have misheard me." You're always overthinking things. In that moment, a normal person might start to doubt their own sanity. But as a person with fragmentary archival intelligence, you don't panic. You don't even get angry. Instead, you feel a sense of calm, defensive resilience. Why? Because you have a tab open from Tuesday afternoon. We were researching the very topic Mark mentioned. You have the digital charred wood that proves your reality. You pull up the tab, or the timestamp note you made while that tab was open, and the gaslighting attempt shatters. You aren't keeping those tabs open to read them now. You're keeping them open so that if your reality is ever challenged, you have the data to anchor yourself. You are impossible to manipulate because you have a fragmentary archive that no one else can delete. This is where your intelligence turns into a strategic outcome. We call this associative reconnaissance, the ability to connect two seemingly unrelated pieces of data to find a third truth, an emergent insight that neither piece of data could provide alone. As a synthesizer, you might have one tab open about cuttlefish camouflage and another about data encryption. From these, I've developed a theoretical model called biological sharding, where financial transactions change their digital signature based on the network environment, making them invisible to predatory tracking bots. But let's look at a second example. Imagine you have a tab open about forest mycelium networks, how fungi transport nutrients across an entire forest to support trees in the shade. Right next to it, you have a tab open about decentralized urban planning. By holding these two fragments together, your brain finds a second third truth, mycelial infrastructure. This is a framework for city planning, where resources like electricity and water aren't managed by a central hub, but are nutrients that the network automatically reroutes to the darkest or most impoverished areas of the city based on real-time need. This isn't just a thought. It's a revolutionary way to view social equity. That insight only exists because you refuse to close either tab. You are front-end loading diverse data so that when a complex problem arises, you already have the components of the solution saved in your history. To turn this digital hoarding into a high-status strategic asset, you must move from accidental hoarding to active sovereignty. Synthesize them. Once a week, go through your tabs and synthesize them into a master note. Ask, what was the root cause truth I was looking for here? Neurological. Why this forces the hippocampus to consolidate short-term buffer data into long-term scavenik memory, moving the archive from your phone into your biological hard drive. The neural bridge technique. Pick two completely unrelated tabs and force yourself to find one connection. Neurological. Why this stimulates synaptic plasticity by forcing neurons that wouldn't normally communicate to fire together, creating a dopamine-driven aha moment that strengthens your overall polymath advantage. Outcome-based curation. Group your tabs into sanctuaries, one for professional growth, one for internal processing, and one for future modeling. Neurological. Why this offloads the work of the prefrontal cortex, reducing decision fatigue and information overload by creating a structured external environment that mimics a calm internal state. Deep sovereignty. If you feel the urge to clear all because you're worried about judgment, don't. Neurological. Why this practices amygdala regulation by consciously choosing to ignore a social threat signal. By validating your own needs over the social mirror, you build massive long-term defensive resilience. Finally, we arrive at the sanctuary. At MindUnlockx, we recognize that your graveyard of tabs isn't a sign of a broken mind. It's the workshop of a high-resolution architect. When you choose to keep your history open, you are masterfully balancing your archival integrity to verify your past, your gaslighting defense to protect your present, and your search for the third truth to build your future. You possess elite cognitive stability. You are the sentinel at the campfire who refuses to let the truth be deleted by the passing winds of trend or opinion. Your 50 open tabs aren't a sign of unfocused research. They are the silent signals of a mind that is too big for a single window. You are building a safety map of the entire world, one fragment at a time. You possess the rarest kind of strength, the strength to remain grounded and verified, while the rest of the world is being swept away by the next manufactured narrative. If this analysis finally gave you the why behind your infinite tabs, if you're a rare mind who has finally found your sanctuary, let me know in the comments. What is the weirdest tab you currently have open? Hit that subscribe button to join our sanctuary here at MindUnlockx. Your history is your strength. Never hit clear all on who you are. Stay archived.